We're now going to reintroduce for those of you who joined us yesterday, our gold sponsor, Canada Silver Cobalt Works. As I mentioned yesterday, they are operating in a part of the world that is near and dear to our hearts here at the Northern Miner. The Cobalt Silver Camp is one of the most prolific silver and cobalt camps in the world. It's credited with being the birthplace of Canadian hard rock mining. It was a silver rush back there in the early 1900s, unlike anything else really in the world. I mean, it was so big. I mentioned it yesterday that cobalt generated so much wealth. It had its own stock exchange. It's where the Northern Miner started back in 1915. They had their own hockey team in what is the equivalent of the NHL today. Just an amazing thing, and amazing to see Canada Silver Cobalt Works in that camp. They're dyed in the wool. They know that area so well. They've made a fantastic discovery with the high-grade Robinson silver discovery. Here to tell us a little bit more about it. Yesterday we had President Matt Holliday. Today we have CEO Frank Basa. Frank, great of you to join us. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. I'm truly impressed that you knew all that, as most people are not aware that the Toronto Stock Exchange started here, and also Northern Miner started here. And it's interesting history, really interesting history.
It is a fantastic history. I encourage anyone. It's quite a hike up there. When I went up to Cobalt, I think I flew into Sudbury, and then you drive for, I don't know, a couple hours. What is it? Yep. How long of a drive was it? The road was closed, so I had to go around a lake. So I don't know what's the drive from Sudbury to Cobalt, Frank?
Well, there's a cutoff you can take, and it's about a couple-hour drive. But you can fly to North Bay, it's an hour and a half. You can fly to Timmins and drive down; it's a couple hours. Or you can really take your time and leave Toronto and take 5 hours.
Well, it's a beautiful drive, especially as you get north of Sudbury. It really is absolutely gorgeous, and it is one of these really crucial areas and towns that really started so much. Canada is now a world powerhouse in mining and metallurgy and all these important things. But you go back to cobalt, and that's one of the key reasons why. So amazing to see what you guys are doing there. And please, Frank, tell us more. Take us through the presentation. I will tune out right now. Well, not tune out, but I will drop off my camera and I'll pass it on to you.
What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to do a share screen. It's a very short presentation. And so I'll try to get this done for you right now. And then if it doesn't work, we'll try it again. Share screen.
And Frank, it's Laura, and I'm here if you need any help as well. I also have your presentation in the back end if you need.
Yeah, do you see it?
We do. Great job.
Okay, so let me see if I just lost it. I don't know what I did there. Sorry.
That's okay. Can you, if you stop share screen, then you can just start it over again too.
Yeah, let me just do this again. Share screen. And here we go. Let's see if I got it here. Nope. Wonderful. I just seem to have lost it completely now.
No worries. Do you want me to share it for you? And you can just tell me when to go to the next slide. Yeah, no problem at all. Just give me 1 second. Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Wonderful. I'm going to just, I don't know, okay. Is it full screen or can you see it effectively? Laura?
Yep, sorry, we can still see you as well as the slides. Can you see the slides?
Yeah, I can see the slide, but it's just fine. So what I'll do here is I'll do a little bit of a brief explanation of the name. So everybody says, what does RE2OX means? The re doesn't actually mean recycle. It means reactor. And the two means there's two reactors. And of course, we put it into a battery. But the reality, it's a reactor-based process. And actually, the process is actually quite old. It's been around for about 60 years. And when I worked in the camp here, they're actually using it. And I went and I modified it over a 6-year time frame to actually produce cobalt. And so we also took out the arsenic and there are various things, but there was a lot of plant scale work. It wasn't pilot. We did start with pilot work, but it was plant scale work. We modified their plant, and it actually was used at that time to produce what we call a cobalt carbonate. It was actually a feed. Apparently, they had to put it into cattle feed. Apparently, cattle needed cobalt. Who knew? So we go into the second slide here, Laura, please. So what we have over here is, on the right-hand side is actually cobalt sulfate that we produce. And we started this thing about 3 years ago. We modified the process one more time about 3 years ago. And about in 2018, we traveled out through Asia, went through all over North America. We also went through Europe. And the only people who came back with us with parameters were the Asians. So we produced cobalt sulfate on spec for them. We looked at doing batteries at that time, using our process to treat the batteries, but we had a real challenge finding consistent feed, so we didn't do anything. So basically, that wonderful picture you see on the left, apparently those batteries do exist, but they're very hard to secure, or any quantity to secure. So let's go on to the next slide, please. So like I said, we travel a lot, and we meet we're in Japan. We actually met with Nissan. And we met with the metal traders. We're all over China. And again, we went all over, like I said, North America. And most of our time we spent in Europe was actually in Germany. And then we were actually looking if anybody had a process similar to us, because we're trying to produce a concentrate from the cobalt camp, which is high arsenic. And of course, very high silver. If you look at our resource, it's like 250 ounces a ton silver, and also very high cobalt. So we found nobody. We did find one process that's purely hydrometallurgical, was actually in Europe, but they couldn't take the arsenic out. So that's why we went ahead and we focused on developing our V2OX process, because it can take the arsenic out. So originally when we took the arsenic out, we're actually going to throw it away. And then lo and behold, we found out arsenic is one of the critical metals that the Americans feel they need. So the arsenic originally was supposed to be made what we call a ferric arsenic, which is stable in the environment. Now will be made into copper arsenate, which they use as wood preserver. Apparently, when you see these green hydro poles or electrical poles, that has actually been treated with copper arsenate. So by treating with copper arsenate, they last longer. So we'll go to the next slide, please, Laura. So basically, these are some of the steps we're doing. So, we're actually doing this process is actually having two types of feed. We have what we call a primary feed, which is, the feed that we're going to get from our mines in the cobalt camp, and the secondary feed. So we're going to have a hydro process. The hydro process, basically, we call it a green process. It's a zero discharge, very small, also carbon footprint. We don't burn anything. And then, of course, like I said, we produced already a product for a client, Asian client in 2018. So what we try to do is produce what we call client-specific battery metals for the end user. So what we're doing right now, we're having SGS build a pilot plant for us at SGS, at SGS in Lakefield. It's actually quite quicker to do that, or faster to do that, because they're all permitted. So, if we went through a permitting process to build a pilot plant up here in Cobalt, it would probably take us 2 years. So in the process while we're doing that, we're actually securing a site up here and going through the permitting process. So hopefully by the time all the test work and the pilot plant's designed and built and the data is collected, we'll have a permitted sites up here in the Cobalt camp. So right now they're doing bench scale testings, but we're not just looking at lithium ion batteries. We're also looking at nickel cadmium batteries, and also what we call metal hydride batteries, which are high in nickel, but they also have some rare earths in it. So what we're doing is setting up for what we call a super cycle, which is going to happen. I know a lot of the smelters are also setting up to take a lot of these batteries. The only thing is the smelters only take a few metals out. For example, if it's a nickel smelter, they'll recover the cobalt, the copper, the nickel, the lithium ends up in the slag. So what we'll do is go to the next slide, please, Laura. So we're calling this kind of radically simple. So we took a very simple approach. The original thing was we started, like I said, in May. So the slides I got, the pictures got a little moved around here, but we actually started this thing in May 2018. And, SGS produced the first cobalt sulfate from the camp, which was to meet Asian specs. So within the same year, we produced it. So we produced about 200 grams. We went to the buyers, the metal traders in Japan, And they said, "Whoa, we like the specs." So they're happy. You have to hit the grade plus the purity levels. Then they asked for 10 kilos. So we went back to SGS, says like, we need 10 kilos. And they said, well, to make 10 kilos, we'll build a pilot plant for you, which is $10 million. So we thought, you know what? We'll build a pilot plant. And so that's what we started. And we started the program this year. And hopefully, after we do our test work with the various batteries, a pilot plant we built, and then we can produce the quantities that the end users will want. But 10 kilos for $10 million without a pilot plant was a little expensive for us. So we go to the last slide, please, Laura. So basically what we did was we kept the flow sheet really elemental, very, very simple. We also understand the process economics, and it's very clear. And all the smelters work on the same principle. Unless you have a primary metal, there's no way you can make money recycling only the batteries. So when you look at our flow sheet, you'll notice there's two stages: primary metals. Primary metals is our own feed from our mines. We control it, so we know that the process can operate. Secondary metals, which is battery recycling, is a bit of a tough market. There's a lot of people trying to get into it. A lot of people thinking it's an easy thing to do. It is easy to get into solution, these metals. It is very difficult to meet purity, very, very difficult. To meet Asian demands, it's really difficult. So we understand the difficulty. We've been operating these types of processes for considerable time. So basically the two feeds can join or go separately to the first reactor. Like I said, the Re in our name, the Re 2-ox. This is the first reactor. And basically the first reactor, all it does, it takes out the undesirables. So some of the batteries we're looking at actually had arsenic in it. So I don't know how they get arsenic. Everybody had a different process or battery chemistry. So you take the arsenic out and everything else that we feel we should take out at this stage. And of course, now the arsenic will be converted to copper arsenate to be used as a wood preservative. Then the material goes to our second reactor, and basically we put all the metals in solution and we pick out what the client wants. So if the client wants a cobalt sulfate at 21.6% and they want these impurities in it, we do that. So it's client specific. The only way the reactor 2 works is because we have two purification stages for the solution. Without the purification stages, you cannot produce quality battery metals. So basically, it's a very simple process. It's, I guess it's like making a fancy cup of coffee. But without primary metals, it doesn't seem to work if you want to just do battery recycling. And that's about it, Laura. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Frank. I mean, a very timely presentation after we just had Ken Hoffman from McKinsey speaking with Frick Ells on the battery metals market. Listen, Ken made that point about it being very important for miners to have those conversations and to be integrated with their clients. You're doing that. Was that something that evolved over time, or from the outset of the company, did you realize that that was a critical aspect to your future success?
We've done recycling in the past with other clients, and you know what? You have to have a buyer. If you don't have a buyer, an end use buyer, you know what? You can have as much of a resource you want, but if there's no buyer, and I remember what your gentleman said, look, you need a team out there. If you just have an exploration, a geological team and a metallurgical team, you don't have a proper marketing team, not going to happen. Like, I'll give you a good example. We went to Nissan, like who went everywhere? We just did talk to the metal traders. Nissan will take recycled metal, provided you recycle the organics in the battery. If you don't recycle the organics, they'll refuse the product. So, and they said, look, if you burn it, we'll refuse the product. So in other words, all these smelters that are treating these batteries, they're not going to accept it. Wow. So they want kind of a certain level of greenness to their product. And it's not going to be easy. I'll tell you, a lot of these battery manufacturers, they're going to be stuck with holding batteries because the end user will probably say, look, if it's going to a smelter, we're not going to take it, right?
Wow. And again, just underlines the importance. If you weren't having those conversations with Nissan, you wouldn't know. And again, to Ken's point as well, when you're talking to the Nissans of the world, the conversations around also what are they going to want going forward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, look, these guys in Japan, they plan like 20 years forward. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. You know, they already told me they're going to change the process chemistry. They're going to lower the cobalt. It's not. They said, look, we can't get it. So, and they changed the battery design. Their planning is unbelievable, just unbelievable. And then when I met with the metal traders, and of course they're all really, they're nice. I mean, they sit down. You end up drinking green tea with them. And they're prepared. Everything is translated. They know everything about us. I'm just truly amazed. And same thing with the Europeans, the Germans. You know, we met them actually of all places at Oktoberfest. Imagine doing business at Oktoberfest.
It's a fun way to do business. It'd be hard to keep your head, your eyes focused and not seeing double. But I'm sure outside of that,
when it comes to business, you can drink a liter of beer, but they're all focused, eh?
You know? It's the German way.
Well, no, it was fantastic. It was really good. Yeah, it's the potential is great, but you got to cover all the bases. If you think you're just gonna produce a cobalt sulfate product, you know what? You're not gonna succeed. Not gonna happen.
Excellent. Well, great for you to share with us how you guys are doing it right and how you're reviving the Cobalt Camp in Ontario. Continued success, Frank. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.